This video will explore how Gigi and Irwin's, my parents, immigration to America affected the family dynamic. A short background on this project is that I have always wanted to take a sociology class, but hadn't found the time in my schedule. So I decided to take this class called Sociology of the Family in my final semester before graduating. This course prompted me to explore how my family dynamics had been affected by a transition of cultures, values, and lifestyles. I decided to interview my dad about how him and my mom navigated immigration in light of forming and raising a family. To my dad, family means support, trust, and a very special union. The definition of family has not changed since he moved to the US from Ecuador because he defines it as the innermost component, which has stayed the same ever since he married my mother. My dad also said that the roles he and my mom played as parents did not differ from the roles that his parents played in his life because the values have stayed the same and were passed on. When my dad was looking for a partner, he was looking for someone he could trust, who shared similar wishes and thoughts about forming a family, had the same religious basis and ethical beliefs, and someone who was intelligent and attractive to him. My mom and dad shared lots of things together, like long nights of studying when they were in medical school. He also saw that she valued intellectual thought and discussion, which was something he appreciated. As a father, my dad wants to be honest, fair, loving, and dependable. My mother spent more time with us when we were younger and worried more, but he says that the roles change as the years go on. My dad believes they share roles really well together, that my mom just does things like going shopping with us and doing household tasks more. My father believes that parenting doesn't matter where you are, and therefore does not think that cultural changes have changed his outlook on parenting. He believes his parenting is similar to that of his sisters in Ecuador. My father wanted us to be fully immersed in the English language because we were going to live here, but he did want us to know Spanish. However, he never put Spanish before English. Instead, he looked at it as an extra because he knew it would help us in the future. He maintained Ecuadorian culture through planning trips to Ecuador, family reunions, and talking about us to his family and vice versa. Now, with the internet and the kids being older, he sends pictures of us to the family back in Ecuador and plans trips whenever possible, but it is definitely harder now that we are all on our own schedules. My dad had always thought about coming to America. He had a group of friends with whom they all shared that desire. However, when my dad married my mom, who was an American citizen by birth, but not raised in the US, it influenced him to think about it even more, consider it more strongly, and be more constant in trying to come here. My dad got the American dream he was shooting for, and says that he is very blessed with America. In regards to how it played out, he sees our family as the ideal American family, because we get along well, we all live in different parts of the US but have a good relationship, and we all love each other. As my dad put it, being a foreigner is a different story from being an American. You always feel different. Coming to America, my father was in a place where he hadn't grown up, hadn't based his values off of, and didn't have his people. Forming relationships with my and my siblings' parents was also something he was not used to, as that was not something parents did with their kids' friends' parents in Ecuador. Because he has now been in the US for a long time and is a senior, he feels comfortable and feels himself around coworkers and our friends' parents. My dad strongly believes that to know how to talk gives you a lot of power. The ability to talk is a really powerful thing, and not many people realize that. My dad believes that my mom and him share roles really well together. They both dedicated their time to teaching us Spanish, shared picking us up from practices, cooking, and other like tasks. He keeps in contact with our extended family, sending them updates of us, and plans trips for us to go visit the family back in Ecuador as well. He expressed a strong opinion that he thought there were equal roles, which reminded me of the Goldschneider et al. Reading. In this reading, they discuss that the second half of the gender revolution revolves around men entering the private sphere by doing more housework and spending more time with kids. Although my dad admits that my mom just does things like going shopping with us and doing household work more, which does support the notion of women dominating the private sphere, he doesn't believe that she does one thing much more than him, supporting the notion that men are spending more time with kids and having more egalitarian attitudes. However, this is also quite funny because I'm sure if I asked my mom the same question, she would provide a different answer. According to Carlson et al.'s 2016 The Gender Division of Housework and Couple Sexual Relationships, a Reexamination, men are more likely than their female partners to report that the couple's division of labor is equal, whereas women are more likely to state they do the majority of housework. My father didn't necessarily seem to understand the concept of the traditional American family, nor really see anything different of what was shown in the media versus what we were. It is quite interesting because since we are basically white Hispanics, we could pass for a white American family, even though we have brown hair and are a bit tanner, while actually having a culturally rich Hispanic background. This reminded me of Kuntz explaining why we think of the traditional family as white. Ads, sitcoms, media all showed the least objectional families, meaning that TV programmers thought that showing any minority, Black, Hispanic, Asian, or other, would not be popular or good for business. However, this created the myth of a white America, when in reality, America was becoming the most diverse it had ever been at this time. My dad also said that the ideal American family looks like us, and that this is the American dream I was shooting for. This reminded me of the Angier reading that said that the best place to find a traditional, G-rated American family may be in an immigrant community. Although we never lived in a particularly immigrant community, we are in fact an immigrant family, and my parents have fairly traditional values that they carried here from Ecuador. My parents' story is one of struggle, of triumph, and of raising a family from lessons learned. I am so blessed to live this multicultural life, full of love and joy, all thanks to my parents.